Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another news-related video. This is Dash Showrose here. I am back to talk about the Paramount and Warner Brothers situation again. Because apparently, there's a lot of commotion still going on with it. And all that, and it seems like more and more, Paramount seems like they're gonna end up with Warner Brothers, and all that. And honestly, I was thinking about not really talking about this, because I was waiting until after, to see where everything was going after they acquired it, then kind of talk about my thoughts on it. But apparently there's some more stuff going on, and apparently the merger was delayed a bit. So it was on pause. So we're going to be talking about that. If you guys do not like this kind of stuff, I do reviews and Let's Plays on the channel. Speaking of Let's Plays, I need to go and finish uploading my Let's Play on Katamari Damacy. I just have been having a lot of stuff going on. I've had a kitten that passed away. I was trying to take care of it. It's not doing very good. And then my sleep schedule, it was kind of all over the place. So I do apologize there. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about this. So, anywho, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. And, let's go ahead and talk about this. Okay, so anywho though, the Paramount and, you got Warner Brothers and Paramount situation, happening here. As we all know, Netflix dropped out of the, they dropped out of, the bid a while back. Because, there was actually quite a few studios that were in the bidding war. We had Universal, they were in the bidding war. We had them in the bidding war. We had we had Amazon, we had Paramount and Netflix. We had all of them in a bidding war trying to buy Warner Brothers. I can't remember if Sony was in there too or not. I don't know if they were. I know the Walt Disney Company wasn't, because they already had 20th Century Fox. They wouldn't have been allowed to buy Warner Brothers, as the entire company. So they weren't in the bidding war. But what happened was we got to the final two, and then Netflix looked like they were going to get it, and then Warner Brothers decided, or Paramount decided to come in and kind of do a hostile takeover and take him to court and all that. Which honestly, is not very fair. I'm not gonna lie. However, they seem to be kind of doing the same shit on, with the Hollywood, is all doing the same shit with Paramount here. Honestly, I think this whole thing is not about them caring about Warner Brothers. I think it's more about, political crap. Like I think it's these studios don't want to have, they don't want, one to have, the studio because of political crap, They didn't want, Paramount was more, I think they were throwing a hissy fit because they weren't going to get it. So Netflix ended up deciding to go to court with them, and then they dropped out. I think they were like, it's not worth fighting, so they just dropped out. Which, yeah, that was technically kind of illegal there. However, then we have, people in, the States and Hollywood and all that trying to, stop the Paramount and Warner Brothers situation happening now. Again, politics, because, again, it's not about them destroying Paramount. It's more because Warner Brothers getting destroyed by Paramount. It's about Paramount being a thing with Trump. they have a big thing with Donald Trump and all that, and he's the president right now, and that's pretty much what all this is about. And like I said, that's kind of how Paramount was with with Netflix a bit. But again, I think it was also more because they wanted it and all that, so they kind of. But it's pretty much just a freaking civil war going on with this shit and all that, and I do think it's gonna end up with Paramount getting Warner Brothers because there's really not a case here. There's really not a case on why they can't get it. I mean, I will say they will probably be in debt. They will be in a lot of debt. And I guess you could say a whole nother country owning, this stuff is not a very good idea. But I mean, Hollywood's moving their shit out of the country anyway. So I'm like Canada and all that. So I don't see the problem. I mean, I'm not saying I want a studio to be owned by a whole nother country because, after COVID and all that, we definitely we want more stuff made here in our country than having to get it overseas. But my point is they've done this stuff before. And then, and again, the whole thing is, what I'm concerned about than anything else is the debt. That's what I'm mainly concerned about with Paramount, is their huge financial debt they will be in. But the thing is, though, is if they don't buy it, it sounds like Warner Brothers could end up getting, sold off in pieces. So the studio is going to be gone. And all that. The studio, will be gone completely. If Paramount gets it, then it will be saved. The studio will still be there and all. But again, I do think that they will be in debt. So I mean, there's gonna be that. So I mean, I don't know. But I mean, even if Netflix bought it, same thing. Netflix would be in debt too. They were talking about having to borrow a lot of money to actually get it. So I mean, again, there's debt there. But unlike Warner Brothers, or not Warner Brothers, unlike Netflix, Paramount has been putting more of their stuff in theaters, where Netflix just tends to keep the stuff online. But the thing is, though, we don't really know what would have happened exactly. But it's hard to say, because they could have been just saying they would have put it in theaters just to get people to, be on their side. But I don't know. But like I said, this whole thing is just a mess. And again, the reasonings why they don't agree with this, or why they don't want this to happen, make no sense. They're talking about they will ruin jobs and all that. And I'm like, you guys are gonna lose jobs anyway. Because, if it merges with somebody else, you're going to lose jobs anyway, and if it gets sold, it could get sold for scrap, and nobody will have a job. And they're talking about it being a monopoly. I mean, I guess Paramount was doing the same crap with Netflix. And I'm like, well, if it's a monopoly, how come Disney's not a monopoly? They freaking own, Fox and all that. I mean, you could say, well, they don't own all of Fox. They own the TV assets and all that, and that's true. But they own a shit ton of channels. They own a bunch of streaming services and all that. I mean, they own Hulu. They own most of Fubo TV, which is a sports channel or a sports streaming service, which they already have ESPN and all that. I'm just saying they own a lot of stuff. They own a lot of stuff, though. So yeah, this whole thing just makes no sense at all, and I'm just like, and I mean, again, I'm like, if like I said, if Disney's able to go in and acquire a bunch of this stuff, why can't Paramount? Now, that said, though, yeah, I think acquiring a big studio like this is going to be a disaster. But it was a disaster when Fox got bought by Disney. They canceled a ton of movies. It put the company in debt there and all that, too, and all that. And I mean, I guess with Paramount, they're gonna be in a lot more. They'll probably be in a bit more debt too. But again, same thing with Netflix too. It's like you get the same thing there and all that. And Netflix is not even really like they weren't even. They tried to make movies themselves, but that didn't work. So they actually got rid of a lot of people. I'm just saying, like, it feels more like they don't want Paramount having this because of politics and not because of a monopoly. And that's kind of the problem and all that. And you want to shit on how bad, the politics are here. Like, look how well the Walt Disney Company and freaking Warner Brothers are doing right now. I mean, Warner Brothers is getting their asses sold off. Like, you don't see anybody going after any of the people there, do you? Hell, during the freaking elections, they were, like, censoring people and all that. They had that debate. They tried to hide the numbers on there and all that. Like when they were doing the debate after the live, streams they tried to hide the debates and all that, and all, but you don't see them going after that. Like I said, it's politics. Politics, people go back and forth. Now, I'm in the center. I don't really like either one of them much. I'm more in the center. Like, I don't really care about either of them. I'm just saying. Now, that said, though, CNN, getting bought by Paramount, yeah, I don't think that makes any sense. Because, CNN's already, they already have their own news station. They shouldn't be allowed to buy CNN. But that's the thing, though. If they're not allowed, they're allowed to buy. Like, I mean, I said Disney was able to buy like a sports station. They got ESPN, and I think Fubo TV was a sports thing too. They were able to buy most of it and all that when they were done with that lawsuit. And all that, I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to own more than one sports station either. It's about politics. That's what all this crap is in Hollywood. It's about politics on the left and the right side. Just politics. Like, I don't feel like any of them really care much about the stuff there. I mean, you can get people at work at these studios that care, but I think a lot of people just do not care. And I think a lot of people just, or just want the properties just to own them, Now that said, though, I think the TV shows and stuff, I do. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I think they will be better on Paramount. Paramount has made some good stuff with some things. Like they had the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Those were well received and all that. And then like they had like Paw Patrol and all that and stuff like that. I mean, they made some, crappy stuff too, like the Blue's Clues and all. They tried to reboot Blue's Clues and stuff like that. Yeah, I did not like that. I mean, that was like that show was like they kind of ripped off a bunch of older episodes and all that in the show and all that. I'm like, why not just make new episodes? I don't know. Yeah, my mom's like, well, they're introducing us to a new generation. I'm like, if they're just gonna rip off episodes, I could just go back and watch the older stuff. Or heck, if I had like, as a babysitter, I would just let them watch the older stuff. I'm just saying, like, why not just make new stuff, instead of trying to rip things off? I don't know. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, I don't know. I've said I think it's gonna be a disaster no matter what's gonna happen. But if Paramount doesn't buy it and they keep delaying it like this, they're gonna lose more and more money. And again, these people that are like upset about Paramount getting it because of Trump, I'm like, well, the other side's not much better. They did a lot of horrible things too, like they've censored people, they fired people. Like, remember Gianna Carano? She was fired for a freaking tweet she made that wasn't even that sensitive. But then they have people at the Walt Disney Company running their damn mouth, like Mark Hamill and all, running their damn mouth and all, and that's okay. They don't get fired. I mean, they got shut up at, but like they didn't get they still didn't get fired. They didn't lose their job or anything. They just got like a talk to. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, I'm not, I don't really like how they just attack one side or the other. I'm like, why does it have to be about politics at all? Just let freaking people make good stuff. Or make their own stuff. I mean, if it's bad, cancel the damn show, or something like that. Like, if it's not well received. Instead of trying to bring politics into everything, I'm just like, and that goes for, like, the left and right side. I'm just like, if you want to tell a good story about that, that's fine, but, like, you don't need to, like, shove it down people's throats. And all that, and that's what I mean. And apparently, like, Blue Sky also, not Blue Sky Studios, from Fox, but, Blue Sky, the platform, you guys know what I'm talking about, but, clearly they're different things, but Blue Sky, apparently they're having a meltdown because the governor of California apparently now is on the side of Paramount and Warner Brothers merging. Because, again, they don't have a case. They do not have a case on this kind of stuff. They do not have a case. Like, there's, like, really no case. Now, I think maybe Paramount may be forced to sell off, like, CNN or something. I don't know. But that's the thing, though. Like, is CNN going to even survive by themselves? Like, they don't want Paramount to have CNN. Well, Paramount could just sell CNN. But, like, is it going to survive on its own? It probably won't. I'm just saying, same with ABC and all that, and, like Fox News and all that. Like, I don't know if a lot of these stations are even going to survive, because I'm like, a lot of people aren't really watching the news for politics anymore. They're watching it more, people want to watch more, but people discussing their opinions, but not just on politics. And a lot of these stations kind of became more about politics and less, about their daily lives and all that. Like, it'd be kind of nice to have, like, people coming in on the station or something, and, like, talking about something funny or something that happened in their daily lives, And they want to talk about, like, politics occasionally, that's fine, but I'm like, not all the time. I'm like, I don't want to listen to any of that. But I don't know. But I'm like, I'm just saying again, it feels like this whole thing is Paramount buying Warner Brothers. It feels more like they don't want it to have it because then the left or the right side will now own a lot of Hollywood. But I'm like, the left side didn't do a very, very good job with it. They didn't do a very good job. I mean, we've seen what's happened here with shit like that, like, they got very political, race-swapped people. We got that god-awful Velma show, that was pretty bad. That was clearly a very woke show. And I mean, like, there's things with like I said, I don't mind, like I said, like, having like LGBTQ stuff and stuff occasionally, but, like, changing a character and all that, I don't really like them, like, having to change a gender and all the time. There are rare occasions where I'm fine with that, but usually I'm like, I kind of don't like them changing a gender of a character. But it's very, very rare. Like, I'm like very rare. There will actually be a video I'll be talking about with one character. I won't spoil it, because in case people haven't seen the movie, but I will talk about, there's a character apparently that got race swapped and all that, and I don't know if it was a mistake or what, but I'll talk about that in another video. But for the most part, like I said, I don't like them doing this stuff. They definitely don't need to be race swapping anybody. Like, I think, I mean, like I said, sometimes they'll change genders of characters if they are too much like another one. I will say they apparently did do that with Invincible. I will say that. If you guys haven't seen Invincible, I'm not gonna spoil it, but this was this is something like apparently they completely removed one of the characters from there and completely race swapped it and changed it because it was too similar to our main character in that show. So again, I won't spoil a lot. The reason why I'm not gonna say the other character, again, I'm gonna make a separate video on that, is because that's more of a smaller part of something and all that, and it kind of spoils a little bit of something in the movie. But I will say, yeah, in Invincible, they did do that. But like I said, most of the time, I do not like them doing that stuff, and it feels more like they're doing it to please a certain demographic and not because they want to tell a good story, and that is the problem. And that's kind of where we're at. I'm like I feel like if Warner Brothers gets bought out by Paramount, I think that there will be more control over, people will probably have more control over stuff. I don't think they're really messing with any of the stuff in it. I think there's still shows and all that on there that they have not canceled. They're still making them and all that, but keeping it in there and all that, but again, not trying to double and triple down on it either. Cause they did this with in the past with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They decided to change April's design. Now she's not a redhead anymore. Now she's black. Why did you need to race swap her? Why not just keep her original design? It's kind of like Little Mermaid and a lot of live action remakes. You gotta have them do this crap. They did this with DreamWorks too. I'm just saying there's no reason for it. It just feels forced. And then at that point, you're just completely changing the character. And like I said, sometimes it can work, like Invincible, but most of the time, it does not work well, and you'd be better off just making a whole new character. But if it fits a story better. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm gonna go ahead though and let this go. We'll see where this all goes. But I do think Paramount is gonna end up with Warner Brothers. I think they are. But at this point, I've said I don't care about Hollywood a lot anymore. I'm pretty much moving on at this point. I kind of want to, occasionally I'll see something here and there, but I'm pretty much just tired of Hollywood and all that. And I've said before, I miss the old days of Hollywood, and especially the 2000s felt like it was the last time to enjoy Hollywood. I've talked about they used to have Noggin, which was Nick Jr.'s fancy channel. I can't remember if they had Nick Jr. and all that too around that time, but they did switch it out from Noggin and Nick Jr., but still kept Moose and Z. They had that. They had the Boomerang channel with the bumpers, which I guess they kind of still have them, but they're not as great looking. So you get stuff like that, but and they had Playhouse, Disney Channel. They did this cool bumper things with the little wand and all that. But yeah, not anymore. The bumpers are all gone and they all feel kind of bland, and a lot of the movies and shows are just not as good as they once were. I feel bad for people in this generation that didn't get to experience a lot of that stuff. I mean, you can still look them up in commercial breaks. But yeah, it does kind of suck. But I'm going to go ahead, though, and let the video go. And I will see you guys all later. We'll see what happens here. But anywho, sorry if you guys hear a lawnmower in the background, too. Somebody's mowing the grass. I'm outside here, in my little studio area, which is kind of hot, but don't have air conditioning in here, working, on my videos. But anywho, I'm probably going to make one more, and I'm going to try to get back into some more reviews. I'm trying to take a little bit of a braver at times, but anywho, see you guys later. Anywho, bye-bye.